author J.E. Zolo is celebrating the digital release of their first novel, Phreak. Terry Doyle, author of Dig, says, "This book hacked my mind and modified the way I see my city. A sweeping, crusty feat of biting Nostradamuc wisdom, an imaginative force, a dirty mirror held up with tough love, a warning." The book is published by House of Zolo independent publishers out of Toronto, Ontario. I caught up with J.E. Zolo on the phone at their home in Toronto. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations. A long-awaited book for you to release now, especially in this time. How does it feel to have your dystopian novel released into a sort of dystopian society right now?
There was a fair bit of discussion before deciding to go ahead with it, whether this was a good time or not a good time. But at the end of the day, it was decided it was as good a time as any to forge ahead. But, there have been a lot of delays, especially with the printing process, because there's delays in all the sort of different chains of printing the book, from printing to shipping. And so far we've only done the e-version, and that's been really awesome, though. I must say, a lot of support in the community. It's available. It's been really well distributed. It's available all over the place. But as releasing a book, it's like releasing an album. You put it out and then wait while people read or listen. So it's an interesting feeling, and I'm absolutely over the moon to finally get this out, because, like you say, it's a long haul from having your first idea to actually having a book published and released, and it's a big deal. So I'm really excited and happy.
It is a great story. Parts of the book bring me back to almost like there's like a mixture of Animal Farm, 1984, Brave New World, all of these fantastic novels that were sort of looking into the future. And maybe we'll talk about speculative literature now, since House of Zolo is releasing speculative literature, and Phreak is definitely in that realm. How does it feel to be included in a publishing company that's focusing on this amazing genre?
Well, it's really cool, and it's kind of like sort of my jam all over in a way. Certainly with Canadian publishing, it is extremely difficult to get in, especially if you're in anything outside of certain parameters, if you're dipping into the genres or going into what we call anything that is speculative. And I think there's a little movement in the country, not a little movement, actually a big movement, to kind of push back against the narrow parameters that are put on CanLit, quote unquote, and the negative connotations that are put on anything that's considered genre. Because at the end of the day, this is about readers and getting your story to readers, and certainly speculative stories are something that people really want. So I'm just really happy to have been around in this place at this time, because all over Toronto, and I'm sure in other parts of the country, I know independent publishing is becoming a big thing in Newfoundland and Labrador as well. But speculative literature is really burbling up to the top. There's some new sci-fi magazines that have been launched, and publishing houses in different parts of Ontario. So it's really great to find a home for this work, because it was very difficult for a lot of knocking on doors for a very long time. And so it's great to find a home for this work, and to know that I think there are more homes being created for people who are, really pushing into speculative and genre fiction.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I mentioned dystopia, and I mean, there's a lot on people's minds these days, and it is a very dystopian society all of a sudden. I don't think that people were planning on. But in your book, it's not just dystopia. There's a lot of hope. One of my favorite parts is the seed drop. I don't want to give away too much of your novel because we want people to go buy it, but that was the coolest thing ever, you know, to have that that bit of like rebel activism for Mother Earth.
Yes. And that whole idea came from working with this notion of permaculture. One of my interests is permaculture and the sort of natural systems that exist on the earth that are something that we can just access. Like, it's almost like we're looking for all this technology to fix everything, but the technology is actually already there, and it's the most basic technology. It's plants, you know. Mm-hmm. It's the way the systems of the world, the earth, nature work together. And in the case of the incident you're talking about, it's like this desperate attempt to jumpstart that process and let that natural process kind of take over. And I was very much inspired, actually, by a wonderful teacher who's recently passed away, named Larry Korn. And I did a bunch of permaculture studying with him online, and he really inspired that kind of thinking. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the book too. It's kind of central in a way because it's really about literally just like taking action, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of topics, of sort of controversial topics, I guess, that, you know, the genetic modification of different things has been going on for a while in the real world, but in your book, you know, it's almost like, wow, this is what could happen, you know. So it's it opens my eyes. I'm sure it will open a lot of other people's eyes. And speaking of that, you're getting some incredible reviews, so congratulations.
Thank you. Oh man, I've just been absolutely thrilled, I guess is the word, with the reviews that are coming in. And, you know, a lot of them are coming in from other writers, and it means a lot, because of course when you're writing like this, as opposed to songwriting where maybe you're working with other musicians or playing for people, it's so solitary writing. You're there by yourself and you don't know what it is that you have. And so to get the kind of feedback I've gotten has just been wonderful and really encouraging, and I'm very grateful to my fellow writers who've, you know, taken the time to read and give me their thoughts and give me words that can be used as testimonials. I mean, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. You've done a lot of work, and you still do, with virtual reality and Second Life. You've been doing that for a while now. How has that inspired some of Phreak?
Well, there's certainly the good and the bad elements of technology represented in the book. In the book, the VR is kind of a place the character can actually place themselves, even though it's kind of ironic because it's virtual space, or it's kind of weird. It's how they get their bearings almost on reality for a time, because reality has become so unreal. And inside of the virtual space, they can construct the world that they want to live in. And they also construct a map. The map is a big thing throughout the book. The character uses a map, and a lot of the times this map is something they've created in a virtual space to navigate their world, to try to understand their world. So I'm kind of playing both sides of it, because the technology is also being used in this universe to oppress everyone. Mm-hmm. And so, but again, what is the character of Phreak? Phreak, the word Phreak, which is spelled with a PH, comes from the Phreakers, the early people who used to hack telecommunication systems, the telephone systems. And so what it's really about, too, is hacking. The character of Phreak is always hacking, trying to alter reality, and they do that in VR as well. And it's through the technology in VR that they learn how to hack, and this becomes pretty critical in the story. These abilities that they have.
It is an amazing story. I just got to say, congratulations again. Any plans on another novel in the works for J.E. Zolo?
I'm actually thinking it's probably going to be a long time before I do a novel again, because it was such a long process, start to finish. It takes it's a slow burn for any kind of satisfaction. And I've been focusing on short stories and really short stories. So I've actually got a couple of collections that are getting worked through now. So that's what I'm going to focus on next. And, maybe there's another novel a little later, but for the next few things I'm going to put out, it's going to be short story collections.
Amazing. Well, we should mention once again where we can get Phreak and, of course, houseofzolo.com.
Yes, through houseofzolo.com, you'll find all the different avenues for publishing. So we're up on all kinds of different platforms, and you can take your pick, basically, if you have a preferred one. And that's, right now, it's just the EPUBs that are available. We're hoping to have our proofs in our hands within the next few days, and then the print launch is coming. So we're getting to launch over and over again. But anything you need to know, just go on houseofzolo.com and it's there. If you're an Amazon shopper, you can search it there and it will come up.
Excellent. Well, all the best with it. And I highly recommend Phreak to our listening audience. If you want to get absorbed into a story that's out of this world, you should definitely pick up a copy. Thank you so much, J.E. Zolo, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today.
Thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate the support. Thanks so much for reading my book.